Oh, there you are. I'm Neva. I like books.
Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new, I want to say here, mini news roundup video, but it might not be mini because we do talk quite a lot here, but a few things have happened in the past couple of days. You know, yesterday we thought we were going to get, I put a few chips on this table here, I have to admit. Some of us thought that we could be getting the Superman suit reveal because it was the anniversary of Superman on April 18th, but we didn't get it. But we did get a photo that a lot of people are talking about. We also have the casting of Martha Kent. I mean, guys, could there be any more proof of the blessing and curse on this channel? Now, I don't know if this means, as I'm posting this video, it is for all I know, freaking the Martha Kent casting got a drop. Maybe it's going to happen again today. I don't know. Are we going to get Jor-El? So, right away, let's launch into the photo that Gunn uploaded yesterday, and he said, on this day in 1938, the first superhero entered our atmosphere via the imaginations of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. He gave us someone to believe in, not because of his great physical power, but because of his character and determination to do right no matter what. Happy Superman Day to all of you, up, up, and away. Now, let's start with the first thing, before we get to that thing in the corner there that people were like, okay, oh my god, what is that? Is it freaking Brainiac? I don't know. But a lot of people, and I kind of feel bad at the same time, and I can't say this for everyone, some people were just commenting on it, but a lot of people, unfortunately, on social media were ripping the piss out of David Corenswet because of the way he looks, and I was just like, I mean, leave the guy alone. He's just, he's just sat there chilling with a cap on. Like, is he meant to just be like in his chiseled pose, just like, yes, I'm the new Superman? I mean, it's not that deep, but the one thing that people were pointing out before we get into, I guess, what people were saying about his face and whatnot, is his eyebrows. His eyebrows do seem a little bit different. Now, I know how this sounds. Okay, I'm just entertaining this conversation because a lot of people are talking about it. Because before anyone says it, Boba, are you really going to do a deep dive on this when it's probably just the lighting? Yes, I am, because, again, so many people are talking about this. So what we have to observe here is that David Corenswet has quite dark eyebrows. And, I think there is a bit of a difference. Now, people were saying straight up that his eyebrows are bleached. Like, bleached. Now, you would have thought if your eyebrows were bleached, you wouldn't be able to, like, make out any brown in there. And you can clearly tell that there is, dark hairs in his eyebrows. But what I will concede to is that they are definitely different compared to normal. So yeah, at first I was like, maybe it's just lighting, but then I just kept zooming in. I was like, you know what? There is something, maybe a little something going on there. But with the whole clone theory going around in the movie, even though Gunn confirms that Lex Luthor is the main villain, the whole backstory behind that, long story short, is that yes, Lex Luthor can be the main villain of Superman, but that doesn't mean or negate another villain in the film. Now, you can see where I'm going with this and where a lot of people were going with this. They're like, well, if his eyebrows are kind of, very different compared to his normal eyebrows, let's just say bleached to an extent, I guess. Maybe this is a scene of where he was, around about this time playing the clone in the film. Now, I do want to say that I don't really want to get too, despite how much I've talked about this already, I don't think we should really get too far into this. This could mean a whole bunch of things, honestly. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me also say, as much as I am a supporter of how Gunn didn't really do a denial of the clone in his thread post movement, if you want to call it that, I don't think David Corenswet's eyebrows here inherently means or supports that rumor. When you go more down that line of thinking, it's like, well, yeah, you can't really say, oh, well, he's playing Ultraman here, or a blend of Ultraman and Bizarro, and that's really what's going on. And also, as a user actually pointed out to me on my Discord server, do feel free to join, the links are always down in the description below, that at the table read, when Rachel Brosnahan uploaded that video of her, Nicholas Hoult, and, David Corenswet there, when he leans in, his eyebrows do seem very different there as well compared to normal. There's a little bit of brown to them, like as I think they are in this photo, but they're certainly a lot lighter compared to how strikingly dark they were before he even landed this role. And I know people will keep saying lighting, but this is where I will meet people halfway in saying that it does feel like they've done something. But again, I feel a bit cheesy talking so much about frickin' David Corenswet's eyebrows. I wouldn't read into it being, like him playing the role of the clone in the movie. And I don't even see, like, what are people saying there? Like, the Ultraman clone or whatever has lighter eyebrows to show a difference in how, even though he's a clone, there's a imperfection of clone. I don't know, but I just wanted to talk about that. Now, also, a lot of people are saying that David Corenswet looks really unflattering here. What happened to my boy? They show an image of him before he bulked up with like a very chiseled chin and whatnot, and what he looks like here. And I don't really see, like, again, like the dude just... Am I, like, crazy here? It doesn't look bad to me. I guess the eyebrow thing is what people are commenting on most, but a lot of people, unfortunately, were, taking criticism of his face and how he doesn't look as Clark Kent-y as he did before. And I actually disagree. If anything, with David Corenswet's bulking up, it really reminds me of again, I'm going to say it, Superman for All Seasons, Tim Sale illustrations of Clark Kent. But, I mean, even if you look at what we covered recently, when he was filming in Mexico for some advertisement, he looks great, He doesn't really look that different to me. If anything, he's just bulked up a lot more. He's in Superman mode. It's just, what I'm seeing is a lot of people are like, oh my God, he's been abusing steroids and it's making his face puff out or something like that. But I'm like, I really don't think so. I again, look at the photos from the ad in Mexico. He just looks like David Corenswet to me. You get a full look at him there, his arms. There's more higher quality versions of those photos now where you get a good look at his face without a cap on. So again, I don't really want to waste any more time on that. Now, lastly with this photo, a lot of people are like, did you see that in the corner there? Now, I wouldn't read into that as well, ladies and gentlemen, because this could be a guy standing there, right? I mean, if you kind of imagine, even though James Gunn's to the right of this photo, but you can almost imagine that's a guy standing there like James Gunn with the white hair, kind of wearing a checked shirt, if you will, or more likely, what I think it could be, even though it might not be this as well, it could just be bloody anything, it's somebody in a mocap suit. I mean, if you're seeing like a mocap suit on the screen right now, and you kind of take this corner of this photo and like make it out of focus like it is, that could also be the case. And I'm sure then people will be thinking, oh my God, what could the motion capture be? Could it be of Brainiac? Could it be of one of Lex's Guardians of the City, like from Superman for All Seasons? That'd be pretty dope. I'd love that. Mocap Lex troopers, if you will. But again, how would we know? It could be anything. But to be honest, guys, I think the reality is, with this photo that James Gunn uploaded, with the exception of the eyebrows, which I guess is still pending a conclusion, there's really not much to dig into, to be honest. So, with that being said, let's now move on to the casting of Martha Kent. We have Neva Howe to play Martha Kent in Superman. Now, there's really not much else to say of what they get into in the article here other than describing who Martha Kent is, but I'm pretty sure we all know on the channel who Martha Kent is. What saddens me, again, is that there's a big portion of the public town square online. I do heavily recommend watching my Jonathan Kent video, because I get into a lot of, why I think Jonathan Kent is relevant. I use comic panels from the very influences behind this movie. But similar things going on. What a downgrade, right? Or like, my Ma Kent is hotter than your Ma Kent. And it's just, it's quite frustrating, because it's like, people who say that, are you even Superman fans? If that's what you're grading it off of, whereas in, all reality, as I went over with Jonathan Kent, the comparisons people were doing to Kevin Costner or like this, that, and the other, that were just more about visual appearance. It's like, if anything, the Kansas Farmer vibe of these two actors, Pruitt Taylor Vince and now Neva Howe, are more accurate than what we've had in a very, 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 very long time. Now, again, in my Jonathan Kent video, I already spoke about how I think he can still teach Clark the lesson of, really learning the limitations to his abilities, because there's that panel which is one of my favorite panels, really, in Superman when it comes to that specific aspect of him, when he says to Pa Kent after coming home from Metropolis to Smallville after not being able to save this woman, that I really thought I could do anything, Pa. I really did. And he then, consoles his son with this analogy of how when the first year of corn came up, it was like the talk of the county, and he got wrong-headed enough to believe that every harvest would be a winner. So ultimately, his final words were, it's not nearly as hard learning you have limitations as it is learning how to work with them. So Jonathan Kent being alive is extremely relevant to me, and Superman in his formative years as Superman, because yes, it's not an origin, but he's still in his formative years, and there's certain things that he has to learn, such as his limitations. And I think a similar moment like this in Superman for All Seasons can be applied there. And with Martha here, I really like this casting because, again, very accurate to kind of what I was talking about last video as well, the flavor of what you'd imagine. Okay, who would, if they've casted, Pruitt Taylor Vince as Jonathan Kent, and he is very reminiscent of an actual Kansas farmer, and many people who live in or around that area have vouched for that, I guess they would be doing a similar thing for Martha, and lo and behold, here we are. And I've got some more panels here from Superman for All Seasons, and Clark again comes home from the city. This is what I've always talked about. All while I do think they will be minor roles in the film, minor supporting roles, it's very important to kind of touch base with Clark again, with how we're picking up with hitting the ground already running. He's already out there in Metropolis. He's a fully fledged reporter, and there's a scene like this where, you have Pa Kent saying, hot in that city, Clark? And Clark says, air conditioning's everywhere, Pa. It's like they don't even notice it's summer. Shelby's really getting older, huh? And Martha says she's fine as long as there's a chicken or two that she can chase around. Did you come visit for any special reason? And Clark says, I don't know. Lonely, I guess. And you have Martha just kind of looking at him there, and she places her hand on his, and she says that with a lot of warmth, then you'll stay as long as you want. And that right there, once again, is an example from me that encapsulates the energy I feel could be projected, and I'm pretty damn sure will be projected in this film. So, to give you a hypothetical, to paint the picture here, let's just say Lois and Clark aren't quite actually dating yet in the film. Let's just say they're not in a relationship. I don't know that, but again, it's an example. So Clark, as we know in the film, is in Metropolis. He's not a cub reporter. He's a fully fledged reporter. He's 30 years old, 31 years old. He left Smallville, perhaps several years ago in his late 20s. And with him still carving out his, arc as Superman, who he is, how am I as Superman? He is and has been flying around with the red cape for a while. But again, just like that Jonathan Kent panel, he's still learning the limitations. That very lesson may be very well taught in this film. And yes, without the need for Jonathan Kent dying. I'm not saying that he won't die, by the way. I'm just giving you an example how Jonathan Kent can still be alive. And he can still learn that lesson of losing human life and not being able to do anything about it, right? The same lesson that he learns through Jonathan dying, and granted that's, somebody more close to Clark, but Clark cares so much about humanity, and people that if he allowed anyone in his mind to die without being able to save them, he would feel crushed. So I'm just trying to say the same effect still happens, but the same Martha warmth can be given here, I feel like, where it'd be pretty neat in my mind, where I would like Clark and Lois to be quite early on. Maybe there's a bit of a flirtatious vibe between them, but they're not necessarily in a relationship. And furthermore, maybe Clark is quite struggling with the stress of what's going on in this movie, the Luthor pressure, who knows what's going on there, whether the clone thing is true, the defaming of Superman, the kind of hardship of being in the Daily Planet under Perry White and everything. And maybe there is a moment where he fails someone in his mind, and he comes home and he's feeling a bit lonely. He needs the warmth of Ma and Pa Kent, and I think this is that. And I think Neva Howell here really does do well there. And, we have another scene. How was your day with Pete? It was okay, I guess. It's just, even with all the good I've done sometimes, I seem out of place in the city. And I always thought Smallville would feel like home. Now it's different here too. So I think this scene here, and you have Martha going on to say, it's all a part of growing up, Clark. It isn't always easy. It isn't always fun. But you'll find your own way. You always have. This could be where I feel like in the film, again, where Clark Kent, David Corenswet's Clark and Superman is at, maybe feel like the pull from both sides. He's kind of in between having left Smallville and establishing himself in the city for a few years, but now neither kind of feel like home. So I think this, specifically, this vibe, as David Corenswet said, All-Star Superman, Superman for all seasons, won't copy and paste, but the movie's vibe are those two comics. And thus I would like to remind you with what Gunn said a while ago when describing, at the time, Superman Legacy. This marries so heavily, and you can see how all of these cited influences connect together, because Gunn once said, and it still remains true, that the journey of Superman, this film, tells the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, right? Guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned. I think those panels in Superman for All Seasons, how Martha can be implemented there, how Jonathan Kent can be implemented there, really kind of start to ring out with how, oh, this is probably, maybe, just the flavor of the way things are going to be. Reconciling his human upbringing with his Kryptonian heritage, him saying that he thought the city would feel like home, but it doesn't quite, but neither does Smallville now, so that thus projects him into David Corenswet mode in the movie, and where that Clark is at, with trying to, I think, finally reconcile that human upbringing with his Kryptonian heritage, and just how he will do that. How will he achieve that? How will he, I guess, achieve what his new equilibrium would be? How will he become content from here on out? And truly, I guess, be at the height of his formative years of Superman. So I can't wait to see this Martha Kent, this Jonathan Kent. I think they are great castings. I stand by that. But let me know what you think of both of these castings. I know a lot of you have let me know what you think of Jonathan Kent, but what about Martha Kent, played by Neva Howell here? But that's everything I want to go over in today's video. Not as many subjects as usual, but I do have a very interesting DCU Batman video going out tomorrow, so make sure you stay subscribed with notifications on for that one. Leave a like on this video if you got this far. Gonna have to love you and leave you now again, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Kryptonians in the next video. Goodbye.